Spells, claims of witchcraft, and cooked human remains were found inside of a Kentucky family's home. Now, these are the allegations facing this woman here, Torilena Fields. She's charged in connection to the murder of her own mother, whose remains were found baking in her oven. Here's Scripps News Cincinnati with more details on this story.
Literally unimaginable it is. Yes. Unimaginable.
Olivia Brock is still struggling to comprehend. So is the rest of her family. Days later, they say the shock and grief weigh heavy.
It's one thing to find out your family member's been murdered, but I mean, that's a whole other thing for the details.
And the details are gruesome. 68-year-old Trudy Fields murdered, dismembered, her body parts cooked inside her own stove. The person accused of doing the unimaginable, her own daughter, 32-year-old Torilena Fields.
I think somebody had lost control of their mind and had to have something that's planned out, or Satanism, or had their brain washed.
Fields' family spoke with us for the first time since her arrest. They tell us Fields spent a few years in California working as an actress, but suffered a severe brain injury in a motorcycle crash a few months ago.
I guess wandering around Cali, didn't know her name, didn't know where she belonged.
The family says they only recently found out Fields returned home to live with her mother. The next time they heard anything about Fields was last week when she was arrested. Kentucky State Troopers found her covered in blood inside the Mount Olivet home. They'd been called out by a handyman who discovered Trudy's body. That handyman told investigators he saw her alive one day earlier while Fields was yelling at them and, quote, casting spells.
Fields' bond is set at $1.5 million. She's been assigned a lawyer from the public defender's office, according to some local reporting. And we're wondering about that severe brain injury we heard about in that Scripps News report. We're wondering, can that play in as a possible defense for Torilena Fields? Let's bring back in our power panel. Attorney Randolph Rice, let me go back to you. A homicide prosecutor you were for many years. Do you think that somehow this traumatic injury could become a defense in this case for this woman?
Certainly. I mean, defense attorneys are going to grasp onto anything they can find, but she literally has blood on her hands when the troopers find her. So it's going to be hard to argue that she didn't obviously do this, but there's going to be some defense as to what her mindset was. Did she have the ability to form the reasoning to commit this crime, or to know that it was wrong to commit this crime? So there's something there for the defense, but there's all these other facts that are just going to be crushing her when she goes to trial. The fact that she's trying to cook her mother. I mean, these are just disturbing facts that once the jury hears that, they're certainly not going to have a problem convicting her.
Exactly, Randolph. And Casey, early, let me ask you about something, please. Let's just say, taking it a step further, that her counsel goes the route of not guilty by reason of insanity. Let's say they have the expert testimony, the medical records to support that. That wouldn't mean that she goes free, right? Would you kind of explain to us what happens when you have a defendant who pursues that kind of a legal theory in a case like this one?
Yeah, I had a similar case where once you enter a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity, sometimes there's mediation and an agreement, a negotiated resolution. Or if she is convicted under that theory, she's not going to walk free. She will then be committed into a mental hospital, and there's going to be treatment. And sometimes this can go on for years. After treatment, psychological evaluations, constantly updates from the court. So this is not a way to release her back into society. There's going to be a regimen, lots of prescriptions, counseling, because a case like this is a recipe. When you just hear the facts of the case, it sounds like a witch's brew. She had some body parts brewing on a stove, had some bacon in the oven. I mean, I agree with my colleague. You're going to have to get some jurors who have a tough stomach. And this case is not for the faint at heart, because it is absolutely graphic.
You're absolutely right, Casey. I have a clip from family members of both the victim and the defendant. We know their mother and daughter, and these family members, they are stunned. They are horrified and saddened. Let's take a listen to some of what they shared.
paint her nails and just do different stuff, you know, whatever witchcraft is, but I heard she was into it.
How do you say, I'm so sad and I want justice for my family member, but I'm so sad because is my other family member not okay? Where do we go?
We never stopped loving her, no matter what, you know. We don't disown people. No matter what you've done.
Oh my, that last comment, we don't stop loving people. We're not going to disown her. Franz, would you take us home thinking about the victims in all this, not just this woman's mother who died such a brutal death, but other family members who are going to have to live with what sounds like something out of a horror movie. Would you speak to that, please?
So what makes this extremely complicated is it's family members of both the accused and the deceased, right? So it's the same family. You know, the inexplicable nature of this is what makes these kind of crimes almost more gruesome than, you know, straight killing, drug deal gone bad, because there's this question always that lingers in the victims' minds of how did this happen? Like this is so just outlandish. Like, how does this happen? And especially if they had knowledge of mental health issues, I'm going to go here. They might even blame themselves to a certain degree. It's not their fault, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to blame themselves. So it's going to be a long, traumatic road for them. That said, in this kind of case, their voice, now in every case, a prosecutor listens to their victims. Ultimately, the prosecutor is the one driving the bus. But in this case, I think what they want in the end, what they want to see happen in terms of justice, may really make this case such that it settles before even going to trial. Because if in fact she really does have extreme mental health issues and a traumatic brain injury, and this just wasn't fanaticism, right? She just wasn't off the deep end and into some, not that there's anything wrong with Wiccan and witches and all that stuff, but I'm saying if it's not that issue, and if it's really something that they know about and they are cognizant of, it may be that they are able to do some healing by coming to the prosecution and the defense and saying, this is what we want to protect our loved one, by seeing justice done in such a way that maybe she needs to end up in a mental health facility for the long-term foreseeable future.
Right. Franz, thank you for all of that. We have to leave it there for now. Oh, and Franz Borghardt, we've got to say goodbye and a big thank you to you. Let you get off to court and get on with your day. Randolph and KC are going to stay with us. Please do the same at home.